Hey, welcome back. It's Talking Truth to Power, Nevada's Freedom Talk Radio. I'm your host, Brendan Trainor, and my co-host, Leland Faegre, is sitting across from me. And we no longer have to say how many days to the next election, but maybe we still have to say how many months before we know who won.
Well, and we talked about this. This is our worst nightmare, what we've begun here, I think, now that we're in the courts. And among other people, Rush Limbaugh says we'll win this. So.
Yeah. Well, we have to be cautiously optimistic. Mm-hmm. You know, I think that there's a good chance, but there's also a chance that Mr. Lockdown will pull it out. You know? How can the people in Clark County vote for this guy if they did? I mean, they're still counting these mail-in ballots for him, but, you know, and how can you possibly vote for somebody that wants to continue to, you know, destroy your economy?
Well, this is the effect of public schools, and in the case of Clark County, these people may have come from somewhere else, where their educational systems are even worse than ours. So they probably don't know any better.
Right.
I don't think they do. I mean, that's pretty much my understanding of what I've witnessed in my life, is that the American people will never cease to disappoint me.
Yeah,
and
we're all freedom lovers. We're always hoping for that chance.
And we had the chance here.
Yeah, we do. We do have a chance.
And it's very important to sustain it. And if we fail to do it here, I mean, I'm not optimistic about America's future.
Right. Well, even if we do win, it could just be a holding pattern. We have to face facts. The Republican Party and the Democratic Party are going to have to, you know, look at this election and see what they did right and what they did wrong, but that doesn't mean that they're going to follow through on it. I mean, is the Republican Party going to transform itself if Trump leaves office, continue to be the Trump Party?
I think so. I think it's transformational. I mean, we won't have, or they won't have Trump to kick around anymore, but at some point. But
he's
I think
not going away.
Yes, exactly, and the long-term effect, the family is there. I mean, I think the party has learned from his role as leader.
Right. So you know, the alignments that we're seeing turning around is Trump so far has won more of the non-white vote than any Republican since 1960, when they voted for Nixon, right? Yeah. And the Hispanic vote
against Kennedy.
Right? Yes, against Kennedy.
How ironic.
Yeah. You know, I don't know why, but I do know that there were blacks that liked Nixon's block granting, giving the, you know, sending money to the local communities.
That was revenue sharing.
Revenue sharing.
Flagrantly unconstitutional, but it was quite a hit for a time. And it also transformed public education.
Right.
Because if you don't take that federal money, you know, so he offered it as a carrot to the states, and of course they took him up on it.
And in Florida, the Democrats were completely wrong. Now the liberals call them the KKK Cubans. But they and Venezuelans and other refugees from socialism were enough to help the Donald get over the top there.
They know something about miserable conditions.
Right. And Pennsylvania, that's another big one. That's the one that may go to the Supreme Court if they're willing to hear the case.
Crooked as all hell, that state, isn't it?
Yeah, I know.
To the core.
I mean, Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And even with the riots going on in Philadelphia, it's amazing if they go for Biden. But and then so the issue there is, can the states count ballots received up to 3 days after Election Day?
And was it codified?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Was that just some kind of administrative fiat that allowed it, or was it actually a law? And so Roberts kicked it back. He was the head of the court, 4-4 decision. So it got kicked back to the state. But if it comes back up to the Supreme Court with Amy Coney Barrett there,
it's hard to imagine they would reject it.
Right.
Mm-hmm. It's hard, almost impossible to imagine that. But It's their prerogative to do so. But
Right. And there are numerous other lawsuits. I mean, these are not the only ones. There's going to be a bunch of them.
Oh, there have already been many
Filed. And over irregularities in the ballot and, other issues there. Does it count? We knew that this was going to happen, and I think the Democrats were counting on it,
Well, not only were they counting on it, they were invested in it.
Yeah.
I think if you average in the amount of money they put into North Carolina, they paid $3 for every vote and still lost.
Mm.
So, this election didn't go their way either. They had hoped to flip anywhere between 5 and 15 Republican seats last night.
In the Senate, you mean?
In the House.
In the House.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
Nancy was looking forward to that.
Yeah, the Republicans are picking up seats.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is there still any chance they can take control?
I don't think so. But 5 or 6 seats makes Nancy's life more miserable. That's all we can hope for,
Right.
I think. In this
Right. There are still a few conservative Democrats left that might even switch over in some cases.
And some of these were incumbents that were flipped. So,
Mm-hmm.
it was a reversal of fortunes for the
Doug
Democrats.
Jones in Georgia lost.
Yeah. That's a good sign.
Right. So the other big losers, we're going to talk about winners and losers in the election. But as you mentioned, one of the other big losers was big money.
Yeah.
I mean,
$3 per vote?
yeah.
That's not a good return on income.
No.
Or equity, I should say.
No. I mean, this whole thing about Citizens United and the effect of big money is way overblown. People see through the big money.
Scared Lindsey Graham.
Yes, he was almost begging for money.
He thought he was doing
At Northern Nevada Family Dental, we are proud to announce a wide range of advanced dental services by way of
this overload.
Shannon Lawson here. Join us for the Nevada Radio Roundup, Fridays at 2 p.m. A good news variety show all about the local scene. The Nevada Roundup, Friday at 2.
Want to expand your advertising dollar? Sponsor this or any America Matters program by calling 775-827-8900, extension 2. Now, back to the show.
Hey, and welcome back to Talking Truth to Power. This is your host, Brendan Trainor. My co-host is Leland Faegre. And pro-Trump Latinos now being exiled from the Progressive Coalition.
from the Progressive Coalition?
Yeah.
What took them so long?
Yeah, I know. Uh-huh.
What do they call themselves now? What was the expression? The acronym you...
Well, the liberals call the Cubans KKK Cubans.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. I'd wear that as a badge.
Yeah, I mean, he took a county in Texas right on the Rio Grande. That was a big shock. And he took a couple of other Texas counties.
Mm-hmm.
So...
Funny thing happened on their way to dominance in Texas.
Right. So...
What was that final total? 8%, wasn't it? 6 or 8%?
I think so, yeah. So, like I said, there's going to be a realignment, but one of the ironies that we're seeing here is now that Susan Collins may be the most powerful woman congressman in the country.
It is interesting, huh? She prevailed, and there really was not much damage in this election, at least thus far. I can't see it. In fact, we may even pick up a Senate seat there.
No,
after that Georgia,
they were saying there's only 51. Is there?
Well, after the Georgia runoff in January.
Oh, in January.
Yeah.
Okay. So that would, if we do that, that would be 52.
Yeah. So I mean, for all of their talk about the bluster about how they were going to dominate this election, it really didn't happen.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. They were talking about a blue tsunami and all of this, and You know, we may have had a red mirage, but but that remains to be seen. But we don't have a blue tsunami, that's for sure. And after all the baloney for 4 years and all the media, prejudice and bias, and the fact that this person, Donald Trump, could hold it together and even, possibly win, or if he doesn't win, at least show that he ran an excellent campaign, an excellent effort.
And he's been very transformational.
Right.
So much so that much of what he's done would be very difficult to undo. We have to take heart in that.
Yeah, we hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, the Never Trumpers are going to try, but now the Never Trumpers have nowhere to go. Who's going to take them in now?
Yeah. Did they disgrace themselves? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They didn't push the needle one bit.
No.
Nope.
They're a lost bunch anyway. I mean.
Yeah. Well, the neocons have gone from the Democratic Party to the Republican Party, so let them go back to the Democrats. Let them be the party of endless wars and unlimited immigration.
Because they are.
Yeah, they are. Exactly. Let them acknowledge that. And so some of the other, the biggest winner overall was drugs. The drugs are winning the war on drugs, as once again we see that Oregon became the first state to decriminalize personal possession of all illegal drugs, including opioids and methamphetamine and all the so-called hard drugs. They're now, if you're caught in possession, you will get a citation and a $100 fine, and you'll be required to do some kind of treatment or education.
So it's a revenue stream for the state, is what
Right.
it is. That's all they want.
Yeah, that's all they want. But, they don't have to lock people up or ruin their lives, apparently, any more than the drug itself could ruin their lives. Mm-hmm. And we have decriminalization of psilocybin mushrooms in Washington, D.C., and we have marijuana being legalized in Arizona, South Dakota, Montana, New Jersey, and medical marijuana even in Mississippi. So it
would be nice if we could just move on from this subject, right? We shouldn't be struggling to legalize these products.
Oh, yeah, I know.
I mean, we have bigger issues to correct.
The state shouldn't be involved in picking and choosing, what type of drug you're going to use to get yourself through the day. And alcohol is the worst drug.
By far.
By far. And yet they can't possibly eliminate that, make that illegal, although some conservatives want to, but they can't do that. It's definitely known to be a failing idea. So they really should just open up and say it's a medical issue. And that's what the voters are starting
effectively
to tell them.
saying that.
Exactly. Whenever they have the resources to get it on the ballot, it usually wins. So, and this will be very good because only Portugal has anything like this where they have decriminalized the hard drugs. And the Oregon initiative may even be somewhat less authoritarian than what they're doing in Portugal. So congratulations to our friends in Oregon.
I don't think I have any friends in Oregon. But.
Yeah. A lot of people, I did an article on this for the Reno News and Review, and a lot of people are expounding the idea of microdosing psychedelics, taking just a tiny amount of what you would take in the 60s to do a 6 or 8 hour trip, but just taking a fraction of that, and apparently it's better than nootropic, drugs, and get you through the day a lot better.
You mean psychotropic drugs?
Yes, nootropic. They call it a brain feed drugs.
Oh, okay.
Drugs that feed your synapses or whatever. Mostly supplements, but So we'll see if that might be the next big thing in the 90s. Now, freedom also won in California. I mean, the governor of California.
Freedom won in California?
It did, despite the fact that it's such a blue socialist state. The initiatives that won in California was Proposition 22 lost, and that was a thumb in the eye of the unions that were trying to say that Uber and Lyft and I know here in Reno we have Instacart for food deliveries. But
was it 22 or 20?
I think it was. Well, I wrote 22, but it could be a typo.
I think it was 20. Yeah.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but anyway, it's so they will not have to pay them benefits and call them employees and so on. They keep their status as. It
was a compromise with.
Yeah.
The apparatus in Sacramento. Yeah.
Right, keep that as independent contractors. Rent control failed, which is
also good.
Yeah, victory for the sanctity of contracts and the ability of landlords to maintain their property.
Property markets, yeah.
Yeah. And affirmative action failed. So California's told Kamala that they don't want equity.
Yeah, that is what it told them, wasn't it? Yeah, it's that's the message.
Right. So they're not going to go back to the status quo. Shelby Steele and the other blacks that have been fighting affirmative action are lighting a victory cigar today. And also they gave felons voting rights, certain
that
felons.
Seems to be trending.
Yes, it is. So, if you pay your debt to society, you should be able to rejoin society.
Well, yeah, if that's what it comes to. But, I mean, you also have premature offenders that are released, just for the effect. I mean, that's what the French Revolution is all about. They just opened up the Bastille and they're on their way out the door. I mean, if that's what they're intending to do, there's a whole lot of civil chaos, civil war coming.
Yeah, well, if the Democrats had won completely like they thought, we might have been getting the guillotine again, because so we avoided that.
Thus far.
Thus far, yeah. So the biggest losers, well, obviously people are saying the pollsters were the biggest losers.
Frank Luntz, I mean, he's really an embarrassment. He said he would effectively go out of business if he couldn't call it well, and he didn't call it well.
No.
But I just heard on our air just moments ago where he says that he's now talking about reform in his own profession. Well, that wasn't what he was saying a couple of weeks ago.
Okay, yeah. Well, everybody that said they were going to move to Canada if Trump won in 2016, I don't think they've moved yet.
No, I don't think so.
No.
We were willing to help them, though.
Yeah, sure. We could have chipped in for
Absolutely. Go fund me.
So the pollsters lost, the mainstream media lost.
Yeah, oh yeah, big time.
Yeah, and they should have a lot of explaining to do, but whether they're going to get around to it, I don't think so.
Well, what they're going to get, even if they get Biden, is gridlock. So their agenda is effectively failed. They won't be able to assume an agenda at all that will be successful.
And you heard about the latest revelation about the Steele dossier and the
No.
Russiagate?
No.
Apparently, the information that formed the Steele dossier was fed to Christopher Steele by a disgruntled former employee of a public relations office in Perm, Russia, who had been fired for coming to work drunk.
Was that the Russian link?
Yeah, that was the Russian link. It wasn't anybody high up in the Kremlin.
Wow.
And
Does Comey know this?
Rich
Please, after you.
is just a really.
This is America Matters Media on AM 1180 KCKQ, a Lotus broadcast station. The power of radio since 1967.
Unable to listen to the whole show? A recording of today's program will be available later today. Visit americamatters.us and click on the podcast link. Now, back to the show.
Welcome back. Matters Freedom Talk Radio. I'm your host, Brendan Trainor, and I'm here with Leland Faegre discussing what we know about what happened last night. And so there are, I see now that they're claiming Biden did take Wisconsin. That's from Zero Hedge.
Yeah, with mail-in ballots.
Yes.
Yeah, that's going to be the issue there legally.
Mm-hmm.
And in the House, bleary-eyed Democrats, I'm reading from Politico here, were still sorting out the wreckage when they awoke Wednesday with dozens of their members' races still uncalled and not a single GOP incumbent ousted. So it didn't really turn out the way the Democrats wanted.
No, not at all.
So that we can take consolation in that. They call it a dumpster fire, actually, in the House.
Well, Nancy Pelosi was, I mean, that incident with her and the mask in the beauty shop.
Mm-hmm. And ripping up the State of the Union address. And,
right.
I mean, we're watching this stuff.
I know.
It's amazing to...
And then she said about the beauty shop, she said, I was set up. And then Trump was going, Nancy, you're not supposed to get set up.
Yeah, she set herself up there.
Uh-huh. And, okay, so we've got that going on. And they are issuing a statement saying that they will demand a recount in Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm. That should be imminent, I think.
Yep. And Michigan. And Governor Whitmer.
Yeah.
Yeah, she wants everybody that goes to a restaurant to have to give their name and address and contact information.
Yeah, I read that Dr. Paul article the other day.
Boy, these people love to make lists.
They
don't
do, don't they?
Making a list and checking it twice.
She's a piece of work. She's a Soros plant,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure she's connected.
Mm-hmm.
I probably read the connection, but I can't recall it off the top of my head.
Trump held the electoral vote in northern Maine. You remember that district? How there are two states that, that decide their electors by congressional district.
Mm-hmm.
And so he held that one in Maine that was taken away from him last night. And by the way, wasn't that interesting that Fox called Arizona? Wasn't that the red flag you were looking for early in the evening?
In what sense, the red flag?
Well, I mean, I didn't think, Arizona is John McCain.
Right.
And the institution that he created there. So there was animus. But I thought, there was about 1 million votes still out there when they called that for him.
Mm-hmm.
And, it just, that really piqued my interest. That something's not right here. And the campaign believes that they've actually won Arizona, as well as Pennsylvania.
Phoenix and Tucson are the major blue areas in the state.
Maricopa County.
That's where a lot of the attention will be focused to challenge it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's still hope for Arizona, and we'll see about Nevada. But I can't be optimistic about Clark County if that's where the votes are. But
Clark or Washoe.
Yeah. Well, Washoe was like 50-50?
Well, I mean, it settled. It looked to me like it had settled for Biden.
Okay.
In what I saw. But, these are cities, and the cities go that direction. So it shouldn't surprise anybody.
Clerks have until November 10th, this is in Nevada, to receive mail ballots and until November 12th to count them.
Oh, there's hundreds of thousands of ballots out there that are unclaimed. That's part of the administration's legal recourse here in Nevada. I think we're going to hear a lot about it. I don't think it's over by any stretch of the imagination.
No, I'm sure that it's going to be 2000 all over again, but instead of hanging chads, we have late ballots.
Yeah. Much more difficult to sort out.
Yeah. And so as we continue on here, the Libertarian Party is, Jorgensen was her candidate. She's declaring a moral victory for getting 1% of the vote.
I think they've got to come to terms with this, going forward here. They're not helping anything.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to claim that the spread, the small percentage that their candidates got in different states it was equal or greater than the spread between the Democrats and the Republicans. But that's
so what?
Still not enough reason to continue this strategy.
I mean, I'm a registered libertarian. I've maintained my libertarian registration, but they continue to embarrass me in most cases. They've outlived their usefulness. Mm-hmm. It's not the former era where we had a duopolistic electoral system, where Barack Obama was just like Romney, or Bush was just like, name your favorite statist Democrat. But that's not what we have right now. We've broken with that. Right. So I don't see the purpose of the party. Well, I was excited about being a libertarian once upon a time.
Oh, yeah. I was definitely. I mean, they were the only ones challenging the income tax. They were the only ones challenging the drug wars, and the other wars. So it's too bad. But, Jo Jorgensen is a nice lady, but she didn't understand the issues, and they're sounding a little blue, as in a little woke.
Yeah.
She tweeted out early in the campaign that it's not enough to be
anti-racist.
No, it's not enough to be not racist. You have to be anti-racist.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which means you have to go around and it's instead of a colorblind society, you have to promote equity.
Right. Well, she secured my vote back when she was Harry Brown's running mate. I'm happy to say that I voted for her at that time. But and I guess it was her turn to be the nominee of the party.
Right.
And beyond that, where's the value?
And when the Libertarian Party did elect a state house representative in Wyoming, the fifth time in party history, that they actually elected somebody.
Last night?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Usually when they get, like here in Nevada, we had a representative that switched from Republican to Libertarian in the middle of his term, but then he couldn't get reelected as a Libertarian,
Mm-hmm. I think there were once upon a time some state house Libertarians in Alaska too, were there?
Right.
Not? Yeah.
Yeah, there were several up there, right. Has Alaska been called yet?
I don't think so. They only had, I think, 50% of the vote counted when last I looked, but it looks like it'll go to Trump. But how many electoral votes there?
Not enough to get him over the top by itself, no. So, what the realignment will mean, and how the parties will face up to the fact that, especially the Democrats, that their dreams have not worked out, except you could argue that their idea that they need to concentrate on the middle-class women in the suburbs is kind of working out to some degree.
I'm going out on a thin branch here, but I think that's why the Founding Fathers didn't include them among voters when they wrote the Constitution.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. That'll get us a lot of... we'll have to call security if we keep going with that.
Well, they're emotional creatures. It's not a... It's not a derogatory statement.
No.
They're just emotional creatures. And, for the most part, they're comfortable in that role. Collins wins in Maine. I see it coming up here.
Okay.
Susan Collins.
So,
boosting the Senate GOP. What else have we got? Biden wins Wisconsin again. It says that here on Politico. So, but did he do it with mail-in ballots? Were there signatures on those ballots?
Were they postmarked correctly?
Were they date stamped, and were there witnesses to the signatures? That's going to be. That's why this thing could take weeks to decide.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and so we'll have something to talk about for the next couple of months here.
Yeah, that's for sure. But it's going to be difficult for Trump to move on initiatives and his agenda, but with this kind of a damage hanging over his head. So we'll see.
I still don't know how people could vote for a man that's, clearly not himself. I mean, not what he used to be.
Look, folks, it's not my fault.
I mean, Donald.
How's my Biden? Is it pretty good?
Donald Trump, he did a marathon in the last few days. I mean, can you imagine getting in a plane 5 times a day to go to an event and getting up and talking, standing up on the stage and talking for an hour and a half, 2 hours every time?
I don't know how he didn't lose his voice.
Yes.
He did 15 appearances in 3 days, wasn't it? 5, 5, and 5.
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And it hopefully it may work out to his ultimate benefit if we can get this mail-in ballot thing resolved.
If it translates as votes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And who knows how many of those early votes that were sent in by mail are not, in fact, Republican ballots. We don't really know that. I mean, there was a sense of discouragement. I know I voted in person, and I would never vote by mail, I don't think, but it's remains to be seen.
Right.
Really, how they went. Some are saying Republicans did quite well at the end of the ballot.
We'll see.
Ready for a live game of Clue? For nearly 30 years, Funtime Theaters held private...
Getting to know you.
Let me tell you about America Matters with Eddie Floyd. It comes on every Monday at noon. Don't want you to miss it. That's America Matters with Eddie Floyd.
Are you shy and don't want to talk on the air? Text us your questions or comments to 775-237-2266. Now, back to the show.
Welcome back. It's Welcome to the Power, Nevada's Freedom Talk Radio. I'm your host, Bernard Trainor, and my co-host, Leland Faegre. And you wanted to say something, Lee, about the counting of the ballots?
Well, after Arizona, the red flag that went with that last night, I happened to notice that the votes stopped. They stopped counting the votes. That's always a bad sign.
Right.
Because they've run out of votes to count. And they go looking for, the votes they've holed up in my trunk space or in my garage, or, they go looking for votes. And I was 6 years of age when the votes came in for Kennedy out of Cook County. Remember that, at 2 a.m?
Right.
It's always the same. When the votes stop, you better be paying attention because something's going on. And that's what was happening last night. And that's when Trump came out of his bedroom.
Okay. And this was a victory for, remember the boats for Trump?
Uh-huh.
And one of the voters was...
Thousands of them.
Yeah. Was quoted as saying, there's political power in just having fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's what Donald Trump conveyed,
He did.
when he was out doing his MAGA dance and, his, Village People.
Yeah.
The MAGA
YMCA.
Dance. Yeah. And on the stump and everything. And
Who knew he was such a good dancer?
Yeah. The idea that, that socialism is such a sour, way of looking at things.
But they don't know that, see.
Yeah.
It hasn't been...
The young people?
Yeah. Their education is so poor, they don't know that. So
right.
They'll go along with it until they realize. And by that time, there's a lot of damage and death.
Right. And they were always anti-rock and roll. That's a lot of people say that the Soviet Union collapsed because President Reagan put missiles in Europe, but really they collapsed because of drugs, sex, and rock and roll. Really. I mean, everybody. I remember.
Does the CIA know this?
Yeah, all the kids wanted to buy U.S. jeans. I remember that.
Yeah, that was a big deal. Yeah. Jordache, I think.
Yeah, all the blue jeans, even if they were ripped, they wanted to have
designer jeans.
Designer jeans.
Yeah.
So that's what capitalism does. It takes away the guilt and allows you to have some fun. If it's if it's implemented like it should be.
Mm-hmm.
So, and here's another thing: schools are not driving infection rates. So,
You mean COVID?
Dr. Fauci has been rebuffed again.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, I think he should go, and there's a handful of people that should go with him.
Right.
But now that he's effectively a de facto lame duck, I don't know what's going to happen at this point.
Yeah, I mean, he shouldn't be nobody should be serving in these positions of power in the bureaucracy for 40 years.
No.
I mean, even 20
Especially
years.
him.
Even 20, 30 years ago, even though he was the NIH, he'd been around for so long that he was basically in charge of all public health in America without having the position.
Yeah.
Just because of his influence. So he should go. And people, if you look over at Europe, I mean, Macron is locking down again, and the people in France are rioting. They're rioting in Spain. Boris wants to do partial lockdowns. The Brits have been demonstrating in Trafalgar Square for months now. They don't like that.
And all this while death rates are declining. Was it
Yes.
85% decline in mortality?
It's not like we really know the science. There's still a lot about how is this disease transmitted.
We're all learning it together.
Right. And it's amazing that the government, the tendency of the government to be authoritarian, and when, it's like the old saying, if all you've got is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And the only way you can solve a problem is to pass a law or take away people's rights or force people to do what they don't want to do or not do what they want to do. That's the essence of the unconstitutional big state. That so hopefully the American people have been speaking out about it. I mean, even if Biden wins, I think the Orange Man bad propaganda that they've been taking would be a big, been spoon-fed for the past 4 years will be a big factor if Biden does win. But, and it
will be, apart from the fact that it's just absolutely impossible to imagine him sitting in the Oval Office, the gridlock that comes with this, we had an agenda. We were pushing an agenda.
Mm-hmm.
And does that mean we can't push it anymore? I mean, this is awful. If that's what our fate is, we had the chance to take the reins of power back from the globalists, and now we can't do that anymore?
I don't think so. I think that the thing is that there are some Republicans that are globalists, and so we'll have to see about that. But, I mean, if it's not Republicans, it's the young people and the Republicans have to wake up and the young man Marshall Crawford, 25-year-old in a wheelchair.
Oh yeah, he won.
He won the youngest
in North Carolina.
Yeah, the youngest person to
he
get.
He took Mark Meadows' seat.
Right.
Yeah, that's a great story.
Yes.
I don't know how he lost the use of his legs. Was it an automobile accident?
I heard an automobile accident. Yes. Which is good. He says he wants to, he's eager to tackle health care, which a lot of Republicans don't want to do.
And he's the youngest. He will be the youngest member of the House ever.
I think so.
I think ever.
25. I think he's even younger than AOC was.
Yeah. It's quite something. Quite an accomplishment.
Mm-hmm. Then, and luckily, so far, there hasn't been the major violence that we were afraid might occur.
Yeah, but I think now that it's in the courts, it's coming.
Yeah, I don't know if they keep a lid on that for long. You're right.
They put that de-escalating fence on the White House grounds.
Right.
Did you hear about that?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. I don't know how they manage it, but apparently you can't scale this thing. So they know what's coming.
Mm-hmm. The Black Lives Matter people are, laying low, but they're communicating. So we're going to have to see what happens. If it's going to, everybody has been buying guns. The sale of firearms is skyrocketed
through the roof. Yeah.
A lot of people that didn't own a gun before are now own one.
I now have access to a few guns, actually.
Okay.
That I didn't have before. But I've been calling this Civil War now for many years, so.
Yeah.
I sit on top of a mountain, with a water supply. So.
Okay. You're in good shape.
Right. But now firearms are at my disposal, so.
Very good, Lee.
Just in case.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got several. Like I say, I'm waiting for a collapsible stock so I can upgrade my SKS, and make it, really sharp looking and convenient, but also it'll be that is a militia weapon, Chinese or Soviet weapon that they gave to their militias, and
well, that's what they turn them loose from the prisons and then they hand them guns to protect themselves from us.
Oh boy, when is Nancy going to come out? Has she come out of her?
No, I haven't heard anything from her or from Schumer yet, so I don't know what they're waiting for.
Yep. Well, Nancy is really the one that is going to take heat for this.
Yeah.
She's the progressives. What do they call themselves? They're not the Freedom Caucus. They're the Justice Caucus.
They've worn out their welcome, I think, within the ranks of the Justice Caucus, I suppose.
Yeah.
And there's even more progressives, so-called progressives, as a result of last night, right?
As far as being elected into office?
Haven't there been a couple more elected last night?
So.
Yeah.
I think so. I didn't.
Not a good sign.
No. Well, if they stand up against war and civil liberties, then we support them for that. If they're about the $15 minimum wage as the solution to poverty and
that's
Medicare for all and all the rest of it, then,
that is their legacy, though.
Yeah.
The former has no part in their future agenda, I don't think.
So we'll have to see what the squad has to say. It's all so wonderful the way things come together.
Well, I think everybody's stunned. I think that's what it is, It's been a long campaign. I'm operating on 3 hours sleep. How about you?
Yeah, me too. I'm a little...
I
forgot to bring my 5-hour energy drink, too.
I stayed up for the president's statement with his family in the East Room, and then I caught a few hours before my
Oh, man. All right. Well, we'll be back. Maybe we'll know next week. Maybe we won't.